Aloha!
Hi everyone!
Welcome to an informational video.
Yes.
A little bit different than we've normally been putting out, but we've had a lot of people asking us how we got this guy to Hawaii.
Yes.
So this video, I wanted to make a pretty quick video, relatively quick compared to some videos that I've seen online. So when I was doing research, I was finding these really long videos and they were confusing, and you find a lot of just different information. So I'm trying to make this to do my best to tell you how exactly we did it very easily.
First and foremost, the reason why we had to go through this process is because Hawaii is rabies free. So the process that we took was specifically to bring Chewie to Oahu, and the process might look a little bit different if you're moving to one of the other islands.
Yes, and you can avoid doing all this process and just bring your dog over here and have him quarantined for up to 4 months, and that costs $1,080.
Yes, we did not want to do that for this.
We did not want to do that for him. We wanted to make sure we did the direct airport release, it's called. There's a lot of good information out there, trying to hunt it down. I will link anything in the description that we found that helped us, specifically the checklist. The checklist really helped us out, and we're going to go over the checklist a little bit, but another very important form is the dog and cat import form. It's called the AQS 279. So I'll link that in the description as well. So basically the checklist is like 5 to 7 pages long or something like that, but I'm going to try to break it down pretty easily. First, you got to make sure your dog is microchipped.
Yes.
Pretty simple. Second, you have to have 2 rabies vaccinations in their lifetime, right? So if they're like a newborn, right, and they haven't been rabies shot yet, then you got to make sure you get a rabies shot, and then you have to wait the whatever waiting period and get another rabies shot. So you can't bring like a very small puppy over here.
Yeah, regardless of the age of your pet, you're going to have to follow this checklist.
Yeah, and make sure you keep all the rabies certificates. You can go to your vet, they have all the history and stuff like that. So I kept all this information. We had so much documentation that we kept just for this. And then after you get the second rabies vaccination, you have to send the blood work for your dog to a certified facility. It's called a FAVN test, FAVN rabies antibody test, and it has to be more than 30 days prior to arrival. So the FAVN test, very important, and then you have to send that blood work in, you have to get that blood work back, and then once you get that takes months too.
Yeah, it does. So
we originally started this process months ahead of time, and it could be up to a year you can start it, maybe a year and a half even, prior to moving here.
Yeah, I want to say we started maybe like 6 months.
Yeah, it was about 6 months, and even that could be cutting it close in some places, because the FAVN test, you send that in, they said it could take up to 4 months or so to get the blood work back. So that's all pretty simple and straightforward. It just takes a long process, right? You have the rabies and the dates and stuff like that, and the FAVN test, so when that comes back. The next part is what really kind of confused me. You have to get an original health certificate from your vet within 14 days of arrival. But also, you have to send all the information and the documents more than 10 days prior. So you have 4-day window, at least this is the way I understand it, I get the original health certificate on the 14th day, 2 weeks prior to our arrival. And then I got that, and I overnighted, FedExed all the documentation so that it got there within the 13th, 12th, or 11th day prior to arrival, because you don't want to have them get the paperwork within that 10 days before arrival, because then it turns into something called a 5-day release, where they'll hold your dog for up to 5 days. And I was really adamant about getting him for direct airport release. Yeah. So that is what I did. Along with that original health certificate in 14 days, you have to make sure they get a tick medication administered by the vet in that 14 day, right? So 14 days, I got the health certificate, the tick, got the documentation. I put all the documents together that I needed and send $185 for a direct airport release.
Yep.
So put all that together, sent that in, make sure it got there on the 13th day or the 12th day. got there, good. They say they received it. I mean, I tracked it. Everything looks good.
So as we were nearing the end of Chewie's checklist, we purchased our airline tickets. So we actually purchased our tickets 2 months prior to actually moving here. And that really just had to do with the timeline of closing our home and the date we had in mind to move here. So when we were doing our research and trying to find tickets, we found that the only airlines that we could bring Chewie on in the cabin was either Alaskan Airlines or Hawaiian Airlines. So we purchased our tickets normally. I believe we just booked them through Alaskan Airlines. That's the airline that we chose to go with. We got our tickets, but right after we called the airline to add Chewie to the flight.
Yeah, so I originally called the airlines and figured out like how exactly do I do this. So they said when you book your flights, you need to call us and book your dog, and that was an additional $150 added to our flights.
And this was our first time ever flying with Chewie as well. So there was just that added, pressure, stress. We just want to make sure he was comfortable as well. But everything worked out with the airline. We went through security rather smoothly. The first flight, we didn't get to take Chewie out of his carrier. Well, that's another thing. You have to have a specific carrier with Alaskan Airlines. So we'll try to link all that below. So yeah, when we purchased, we just made sure to follow the Alaskan Airline carrier rules. But yeah, we didn't take him out on the first flight, but the second flight, the
attendants were really, really awesome, and they loved Chewie, so they let us hold on to him.
Yeah, they even put a little lei around him, so that was really cute.
Yeah, it was adorable. So when you finally arrive on the island, when you're coming into Hawaii, you want to make sure that your flight is booked and landed for a specific time, because the animal quarantine station or the place that takes your pet and actually checks them and everything closes at 4:30 Monday through Friday, and they close at 3:30 Saturday, Sundays, and holidays.
Yes.
So we made sure, the earliest one that we found that we were able to, it landed at like 3:15.
Yeah.
So that was another thing we were stressing about, because we only had an hour, right?
Yeah.
They do recommend you getting at least an hour or two prior to them closing, because if they close within a half hour and they don't get to your pet in time, then they have to hold them till the next day.
Right, yeah. But I will say, so you don't go by yourself to this animal quarantine station. So as soon as you land and get off the flight,
they know you
have a pet. Somebody from the airport that works at the airport will be waiting for you and your pet to walk you to the station. And for us, it was not a close walk. I don't know how long did it take.
Probably like a 20-minute walk.
Yeah, it was like a 20-minute walk. So the whole time we're rushing to try to get to the quarantine station right away. Luckily, when we got there, there wasn't really anybody in front of us, I don't think. So they took Chewie in right away, and it took maybe like 10 minutes. They checked him, and he was good to go.
He was free.
Yeah.
That is the process in a nutshell. It was kind of crazy, kind of hectic, and kind of scary for a little while, and I think I sent way too many documents that I needed to. I'm like, can you get me every document you had from the vet? And I was just like, can you give me everything? I just want to send it to them so to make sure they have all the information they needed on Chewie. So maybe that helped with the 10-minute process of checking him. I don't know, but I just wanted to make sure they had everything on him that they could.
Yeah, we didn't want him to quarantine at all. Even if it was for a day or two, we did not want him to do that. So yeah, we did our best. Well, Craig did everything for this process. I'm very thankful to Craig, but to make sure that as soon as we got off the flight and grabbed our bags, that we could bring Chewie with. So
I literally remember the moment that they gave him back to us and said he's good to go. I remember that like it was a holiday, and I was a kid on Christmas, and I got the best gift. We were like, we're free, Chewie, we made it to Hawaii,
Yes.
So yeah, he's here now. We're super pumped. Life is good. If anybody has any questions, please leave a comment. If anybody wants to hear about any other process that we got to Hawaii, let us know.
Yeah, and like Craig said earlier, there is a lot of great information out there. Obviously, we were able to find videos as well, but because there's a lot of information on the checklist, it can get very confusing. So for us, we just wanted to do a very quick, this is really what you need. Because even reading through the checklist, watching the videos for us, we were confused and we're like, wait, are we missing something? And even just like the days, to get things done was a little bit confusing for us as well.
Especially that 14-day and then arriving the documents 10 days.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. But I guess you got to do what you got to do, right?
You gotta do what you gotta do to keep the island safe.
Exactly. So thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next one. Aloha.
Bye.